I left the woods for as good a reason as I went there. So this is from the conclusion of Walden. So this raises a good question, right? If so much goodness, so much sublime that he was constant experience with divinity, why not stay? Why not stay? I left the woods for as good a reason as I went there. Perhaps it seemed to me that I had several more lives to live and could not spare any more time for that one. It is remarkable how easily and insensibly we fall into our particular route and make a beaten track for ourselves. Did you hear that? It is remarkable how easily and insensibly we fall into a particular route and make a beaten track for ourselves. Literally. I had not lived there 1 week before my feet wore a path from my door to the pond side. And though it is 5 or 6 years since I trod it, it is still quite distinct. Wow. Guess what Thoreau realized? That after his time spent there on Walden Pond, he realized that he had developed a routine. He had fallen into a rut. You might hear that expression, right? I'm in a rut. I need to get out of my routine. So what's so bad about that? Remember, let us spend one day as deliberately in nature. His life had not become deliberate and purpose, but routine. He was going through things without, purpose. It was like sleepwalking through his day. And that wasn't why he went there. So he recognized this and said, you know what? Game's up. I can't do this anymore because I formed a rut for myself. Now we can take this to the next level. I fear that others may have fallen into it, and so help to keep it open. The surface of the earth is soft and impressible by the feet of men, and so with the paths which the mind travels. How worn and dusty, then, must be the highways of the world. How deep the ruts of tradition and conformity. So, guess what Thoreau is saying? Guess what he's saying, right? Don't walk the path that I did. So, does Thoreau want us to do what he did? No. So you might be saying, well, Mr. K, I don't get it. So why did he write this? Why are we studying this? This is what Thoreau did to encounter transcendence, to come into touch with himself as an individual, to reach the sublime, but we have to follow our own path. We can't do what he did because Thoreau himself, he recognized that he had fallen into a routine which is bad. I learned this, at least by my experiment, that if one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors to live the life which he has imagined, he will meet with the success unexpected and common hours. So what did he learn? That if you have a dream, right? You have a dream. Yeah, you've got one. What do you need to do? Get off the damn sofa and advance in that direction. It's true. Life is advancement. Life is work. And you can't advance when you're looking backwards. We learned that from Emerson. We can't be retrospective. We have to look ahead and move ahead. He will put some things behind, will pass an invisible boundary. New, universal, and more liberal laws will begin to establish themselves around and within him. Or the old laws be expanded and interpreted in his favor in a more liberal sense. And he will live with the license of a higher order of beings. So when you do this, when you move in the direction of your dreams, you will live with the license of a higher order of being. You'll become something greater, something better. In proportion as he simplifies his life, the laws of the universe will appear less complex. In other words, once you start to put this stuff into practice that Thoreau's telling us in Walden, simplicity, 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 the world will be less complex. Solitude will not be solitude, nor poverty, poverty, nor weakness, weakness. If you have built castles in the air, your work need not be lost. That is where they should be. Now put the foundations under them. It's time for work. Dream work. Dream work. If a man does not keep pace with his companions, perhaps it is because he hears a different drummer. So as you're walking along this path of your life, and you're hearing a different drummer. However mean your life is, meet it and live it. Do not shun it and call it hard names. It is not so bad as you are. It looks poorest when you are richest. The fault finder will find faults even in paradise. You might know someone who's just a negative person, and they're going to find something wrong with everything. You can't be that person. You have to be an optimist. Love your life, poor as it is. Cultivate poverty like a garden herb, like sage. Do not trouble yourself much to get new things, whether clothes or friends. Turn the old, return to them. Things do not change. We change. Sell your clothes and keep your thoughts. So, Henry David left the woods. He went back to live in town, and sadly, when he was 44, he fell ill, found out that he had TB. Back during this time, there really was no cure for tuberculosis. So he was dying, and he knew he was dying, and his family knew that he was dying. Yeah, just 44. That's so sad. So his family, they came to him, and they wanted him to, accept the Lord, right? Because he knew he was dying. They called a pastor to come and counsel him. So the pastor was sitting there with him as Thoreau was coughing. We can just imagine coughing, blood from tuberculosis. And the pastor said, Henry David, you know that the year end is here. You need to make your peace with the Lord. And Henry David Thoreau looked up at the pastor and said, make my peace with the Lord, make my peace with God. I never knew we quarreled. And that's another marvelous quote from Thoreau. And it's a good way to look at this experience with Walden, the writings of Emerson, as well as all the other transcendentalists, is that what they were doing is they were not quarreling with God. They didn't view themselves and their work as doing anything that went against what God wanted them to do. They were just seeking a new path, alternate ways to get into contact with the absolute, the ultimate, and the holy. And for Thoreau and Emerson, right, it was transcendence, seeking the sublime, finding those catalysts in nature. So, until we meet again, be well, do good work, and keep in touch.